What's up, everyone? So today in the garage, I'm gonna be doing an install on the RAV. I'm gonna be putting in a digital mirror. It's called, by a company called NikoMaku, and I believe the model is AS5. So pretty much what a digital mirror is you actually set up a separate camera in the back, usually on the inside of the glass, facing backwards. And on your rearview mirror, instead of it just being a mirror, there's actually a screen behind it, so you can actually see what the camera sees. It's gonna be a different camera from the backup camera, so you actually kind of get a wider angle of view. It is kind of weird, honestly, guys. I've driven a few vehicles with it on, and it takes a little bit of getting used to. The benefit of it is that you get a little bit wider view, right? You don't have all this stuff in the way because the camera is directly right there in the glass. But the big reason I got the mirror is that it actually has a built-in dash cam, which is a big deal, especially with as many crazy people that are on the roads these days. So that is one cool thing. It's an all-in-one package. So let's check it out. Let's see how this install goes. I do have a broken hand, so hopefully it doesn't take me that much longer, but we'll find out. Alrighty, so unboxing time. So we have here, like you guys can see, I got it on Amazon, the NikoMaku AS5. Let's see what this sucker comes with. Oh, looks like I opened it backwards. Okay, so we got the mirror itself. Again, it's a digital mirror, so the cool thing I liked about the NikoMaku is that a lot of the ones you see on Amazon, you'll notice clip on to your original mirror, but this one actually has the option of removing these and mounting it just like the original one. And as you can see, it's got the camera there. Yeah. One thing to note, this is plastic. I don't know why I would think it's metal. It looked like it'd be metal online, but can't complain too much. Okay, what else we got over here? Looks like we have a little rubber band. So these little rubber bands are used if you decide to actually mount it on your original one. Like I said, I'm probably gonna hard mount it. Oh, and it powers on. What in the world? It's got like this battery. That's cool. Fancy, fancy. All right, this is the mount that we're gonna be putting on it. As you can tell, whenever you replace that back panel, this actually goes where your original mirror would go. This is one of the main reasons I actually purchased it, just because I think it looks a lot cleaner. This other bracket that it comes with, if I remember correctly, is like an extra mount for the rear camera. We'll figure out if we need it or not. Looks like here I have the camera that you mount to the back. Again, this is gonna be separate than your reverse camera. You're gonna mount this a little bit higher, probably right at the very top of the back window, honestly. Looks like I have the power cord. The power cord actually comes, so you plug it into the cigarette lighter. I'm not a huge fan of that. I'm gonna try to find a way to hardwire it, and I'll definitely post on how to do that if I do. I'm gonna show you how to remove these plastic tabs if you are gonna end up using the OE style mount, which like I'm planning to do. Essentially what you're gonna do is you're gonna remove these little rubber pads, right? And there's gonna be a screw underneath, which you take out. So let's go ahead and get that started. Little rubber pads are glued on here. So they are not reusable. So once you do this, you need to make sure it is in fact what you want to do. Okay, now that I've removed all those little foam pads, like I said, you're gonna remove these 4 screws. They're small. I believe you are going to be reusing them, so make sure you don't lose them. One thing to note, whenever you first start, use that foam piece so you're not placing your brand new mirror on a rough surface. You end up scratching it up, so put something underneath to kind of protect it. Okay, so that piece comes out. This just slides out like so. Let me see, it looks like you won't be reusing this little pad itself. So let's set this aside. Let me take the rest of them off and then we'll see. Okay, once we've removed all the hooks and little pads, you take the screws out. As you can tell, I have like a little pile of screws going on over here and this plate. So this is the bottom of my mirror. This is how I'm setting it. I believe that's how it's supposed to go. It doesn't really look like there is a set way, I guess either way, but so then you're just gonna take your screws, screw this plate back together, and then install your mount. Okay, to actually install the little screws, you're going to need one of the smaller screwdrivers. I tried using just kind of a standard one, and it didn't work because you can't get in this little slot. So we'll just use like a smaller screwdriver to do that. Whenever you tighten it, you don't have to over tighten, and just snug it up. Because if you do strip it out, then that's going to do it, right? And once we have that piece done, we can actually mount this piece on here. This comes with its own separate screws. I thought they were missing on mine, but they actually were kind of buried in one of the packets. So make sure you pull those out. It's going to be 4 of them. It looks like they gave you 5 of them. So there you go. They gave you a bonus one in case you lose it. So we'll go ahead and maybe you can lose one. You can get a mulligan. Again, bear with me because I'm doing this one-handed. Okay, so we're putting this last screw on. And again, you're gonna have an extra screw when it comes to these. You can move this piece around just depending on what screw you're trying to tighten down. And there we go. So now our mirror is ready to mount. There's 2 things that don't come with the kit is gonna be a micro SD card, and you'll need one class 10. It can handle up to 128 gigs. And then also this little guy. So since I am planning to hardwire it to the car, I'm going to hardwire it to a positive lead that is on only whenever the car is on, right? Obviously, I don't want the thing sucker running all the time. You're going to need a step down. So the camera itself actually runs on 5 volts. From what you get with the kit, if you actually like read the little adapter part, it tells you that it actually brings it down to 5 volts, 2500 milliamps. So this converter that I picked up on Amazon, it's got 2 USB outputs. It takes it from 12 to 5 and to a max of 3 amps, which is 3000 milliamps. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find a USB cable that looks like this, that I can just plug it straight to here. And that way I can just hardwire this with the fuse to my vehicle, and then we will be good to go. So I'm actually going to start at the mirror portion of it first. So what I'm going to do is I have to remove my radar. I have my radar mounted here. I'm going to take my radar mount off of the original mirror. And then on the RAVs, there's a plastic panel that's up here. This comes off. And then this whole panel actually slips back. So you push it back and it comes undone. And it's going to give you access to the bolt that actually holds this mirror on. Next step, I've taken off my radar mount. You want to tilt your mirror kind of out of the way down. We're going to pull, like I said, you pull back on this plastic, and it pops out. So that's what I'm gonna do right now. Again, I got a broken hand, so bear with me guys, I'm gonna have to put the camera down. But this is a look at the plastic panel that I was talking about. So this is what you actually gotta do. So this is the top portion of it, right here. I'm gonna set the panel down. So what essentially it is you will actually have to pull down on this piece. These clips will pop out, and then you actually slide this out and this back. And as you can tell, these actually hook into the piece. So once this piece is off, this whole thing just slides back and then down. And it will leave you with the exposed mirror. And you use your Torx bit to remove it. The Torx bit you're going to use is a T20. And you actually don't even have to remove the screw. You just have to loosen it. Once you loosen it, you can slide your mirror back and out of the way. I just loosened the bolt. Didn't completely remove it, like I said, just loosened it. So now this actually just slides back and out of the way. You can see the bolt's still in there. And this is where our new mirror is going to just slide on and mount the same way we took this old one off. Guys, just in case you were wondering, the newer vehicles do have cameras on the front. And this is what's actually used for your lane departure and all that stuff for the front camera mount. Try not to unplug this stuff, guys. Believe it or not, anytime you plug it and unplug it, it actually leaves a code in the computer. It doesn't necessarily pop up on your dash, but it actually does leave a fault code in your computer, a history code, whatnot. Since I am doing this with a broken hand, what I did is you take a panel puller and you hook under here and you pull down on this panel in the RAV to take this out. The reason I'm doing this is because I'm actually going to try to run the wiring straight down the middle of the headliner using a coat hanger. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if I can actually get away with running the cable through the rear light as well, and just kind of like sliding it all the way down through with using a coat hanger. Eventually get into here, and that way I can actually hook it up to my mirror. So now the next step is I'm going to remove this light, which again with the panel puller you also remove it, to see if I can actually get access to run that cable all the way through the middle. So to remove my back light, I'm hooking my panel puller under the back, and then I'm just going to pull down on it. See if I can get the last one to latch. It doesn't look like I'm gonna have a whole lot of room. I might not be able to do this through here. So you can tell these hook on there. Go ahead and let's see, do we remove the actual light? We actually might not have to. So my idea was to actually run the hanger through here all the way back and kind of pull my wires through here and then run the hanger from the front to the back as well. We'll see if I have enough hanger, actually, to be honest with you guys. Let's see if this works. I am at the hatch now, I have it open. I am planning on mounting my camera in the middle on this plastic panel facing out the back window. In order to do that, we have to remove this panel. What I plan on doing is I'm gonna measure it long ways and just gonna put it in half and put my camera in half. So. There we go. All right, make sure our clips stay on, none of them are broken. All right, and so as you can see, we have a little bit of room here. What we're gonna do is we're gonna run our cable for the camera through this boot, the bigger boot, through here and to our camera. For the next one, honestly guys, what I'm gonna use is I'm gonna use self-tapping screws on here to actually mount my bracket that way. I already have them picked out. You guys can use bolts if you want. You can use screws. Honestly, I would recommend taking this panel off to do it though. I wouldn't do it with it on just because you just never know what's running back there. It's just safer than sorry, guys. It's a little bit easier to work with as well. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I've marked my holes. I'm gonna drill a small hole just so it's something the screw can get started with. Okay. And again, you want to make the hole smaller than the screw itself, right? Obviously. Okay. So then my screws have a guide to go through once I start screwing these in. So now I'm going to take my tape off. I'm going to go ahead and put my camera on inside a little bracket that I have made. I'm going to grab my Phillips screwdriver and I will mount it. So one thing to keep in mind, guys, is remember the orientation of the camera. This side I believe is the bottom where the cable is, which is going to go here like so. And there you go, guys. I have my little mount now made. So now I'm gonna take this plastic panel. I'm actually not gonna install it yet. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna worry about running the power now through the headliner. The next step I'm gonna do, guys, is I'm going to remove these 3 plastic push-ins so I can bring the headliner down a bit. I'm gonna remove this boot and here. And honestly, guys, it's probably one of the more difficult parts is actually running the cable through the boot itself. Again, I'm gonna go ahead and do that real quick because I need both my hands, or my hand and a half, I guess. I have my cable that's going to go to my bird camera. You guys will notice that you're going to have one end that looks like a little, like a microphone plug, like a little aux cord, a little mini aux cord looking thing. And on the other end is the actual end that's going to go to our camera. So what you want to do is you want to make sure you don't have any knots whenever you undo this sucker. Make sure it's nice and straight. You'll notice that you have the plug that goes to your camera, right? And then you actually have this little other wire. This wire you need if you are planning on using your camera as a reverse camera as well. What this wire does is you tap this into a reverse light. Okay, you tap this into a reverse light And whenever you put the car in reverse, it gives a signal that the camera needs to come on. I have a factory backup camera. I don't need this. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna snip this short, and I'm gonna go ahead and tape this off because I won't be using it. Like I said, this is the fun part. So keep in mind, this piece is the end that's gonna go to my camera. I want to pull my headliner down and run this cable through the roof, okay? That's gonna be step number 1. Right, you see my cable here. And again, watch your hand, guys. Make sure you don't get your headliner all nasty. Okay. Step number 2 is running this through the boot. This part might take me a bit, guys. It's not easy. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to give myself enough slack for it to come through here. I'm going to run it up. Through the top. See if I can get my cast through there. Hold it like that. And then boom, I'm going to leave it kind of hanging there. I'm going to go ahead and insert all these boots back. You want to make sure they go in correctly because it is what keeps the water out. I am set, guys. So now I have my cable out. I can plug my camera in, okay? And I can continue on with my install. There we go, we're all plugged in. I'm gonna go ahead and tuck this cable in here. I'm going to reinstall my plastic panel. Plastic panel is in. It's nice and clicked in, and boom, camera is set. I'm gonna take the cover off of it when I get finished up. Now the fun part of running this cable all the way to the front. And so let me go grab a clothes hanger and see if my idea will work. So what I've done is I ran my clothes hanger from my rear light back there. Hopefully you can see it from the camera angle through here. It is just a clothes hanger that I unwound, and I've made a hook. I already had it made. I didn't make it for you guys because, guys, I do this quite a bit. And so what you want to do is you want to hook it to where you're not going to damage the cable, but it will pull it through. So I'll go ahead and get it started that way, and then we will start to get our cable run. Right, awesome. Got it to my halfway point. So now that I have this, I'm actually going to pull it all the way through. As you can see, my cable's coming all the way back up. Make sure it doesn't get caught on anything. I'm in, and now I will try to run it from the front to the rear, my hanger. So the way I got it, finally, I haven't ran the wire yet, but I actually started from here and I pushed my hanger handle that way, and then the hook is here. So now what I'm gonna do is, because there's insulation and whatnot, whenever I put this on here, I'm actually gonna cover it with tape. That way I don't have to worry about this hook catching, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and wrap that with tape, and then I will finish running this wire all the way through. I have gotten my cable from my camera all the way through the front using a hanger, and I'm not gonna lie to you guys, it was probably easier to drop the headliner on the corner on one of the edges. I do that in my video talking about the Victory 4x4 install, if you guys want to check that out. But I think it can be done running a hanger down the middle. It's probably easier just to do it on one of the edges. I've installed my light. I'm gonna go ahead and put all my push-ins back into the headliner. I'm gonna clean the back, and then I'm gonna come up to the front and start working on the wiring for the mirror, the power, and all that good stuff. I am on the driver's side. What I'm gonna do now is I'm actually run the wires for my power, okay? And so since I'm hardwiring everything, what I'm gonna do is you remove this plastic trim that's here on the side first, it just pops off. The kick panel, it's got like a plastic screw on the back here that you take off, and then it comes out this way, and it's gonna give me access. I actually already took the cover off because I don't have it, because I already had something on here. But as you can tell, there's an open spot there for adding a fuse. So it's on the right side. It is 1, 2, 3, 4, the fifth one from the front to the back, okay? And that's the one I'm using. I'm not gonna go too much into detail into the wiring just because it's getting pretty late. But essentially what I'm gonna do is I have an added fuse there. You can see I have it to 10 amps, okay? And that I'm gonna run to the power, I'm gonna ground it, and then I have the USB cable. I'm gonna run back up there through the A-pillar. Again, in my video for the Victory 4x4 rack, I actually go in a little bit more into depth on how to take these back. If you're going to do that, you might be able to just pull this rubber back and slip the power through there. So I've ran my power cable and my camera cable through the front. Now it's time to set my mirror, guys. I left everything kind of down and open where I ran my wires, just because if for any reason something happens or I need to check anything, it's readily available. I didn't put everything up already. All right, so I have my mirror set. I don't have it screwed down. I plugged everything in. And so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna turn the ignition to see if it works. Whenever I first did it, the front camera would show.
Communication module failure detected. Please contact your dealer.
That's because I have the SOS unplugged. So it looks like my rear camera is working. I don't have an SD card in it yet. I need to put one in. I might adjust the actual camera angle and tilt it a little further down. If you use the mount originally that came with the camera itself, this isn't going to be an issue because you can adjust it up and down. I'll essentially have to reprint one. But everything looks pretty good. The color looks kind of weird, but I think that's because of my tint in the back window. One thing to note is that there's actually a lot less clearance from the top, right? This bracket's actually a little shorter than the factory Toyota one. I'm barely using the USB because it's straight up and down. So it's actually hitting a little bit here on the headliner. What I'm going to end up doing is getting a USB that it's angled instead, and that way it's not going to be hitting there. Besides that, just the SD card, everything else looks like it's working pretty well. Like I said, I'll get everything wrapped up right now and then I'll go over the functions. Alright guys, next day I decided to finish up this video in the morning. And as you can see, I actually reprinted the case because I angled the camera down this way about 4 degrees more, just so I wouldn't catch the frit on the glass here. So after doing that, again, if you're using the factory mount, you don't have to worry about that. Okay, so we'll start it. So actually, if you can see this, you can use it as a regular mirror without it on, but I'll show you guys from whenever startup and whatnot. I actually turned the audio off because there's like this little ding when it turns on, which kind of drives me nuts.
System ready.
Like that. Okay, mirror on. Like I said, it is a little tricky getting used to. It looks pretty good, I think. The only thing is getting the camera exactly where you like it. One thing I will note, guys, for RAV4 owners, this is gonna sit a lot closer to your headliner. I actually ordered a 90-degree bend USB cord because it's actually hitting the headliner here. Another thing is, since it does sit so close, I won't be putting this piece back on just because it's not gonna allow it, especially with my radar mount. Everything else seems to work correctly. The touchscreen, I don't have the SD card in yet. One thing, if you notice, since it does sit higher, you're gonna catch a lot of this black plastic piece that sits here. The only way you're gonna be able to kind of avoid that is if you got, I guess, in the bracket extension or whatnot and had it set lower. I might do that, I haven't decided yet. I know you can actually pull the camera out a bit as well, like it'll come out like that, but it doesn't make a massive difference. So I'll probably just keep it as is. Front camera looks super clear. The back camera is, on mine, if you notice, it does look a little grayish dark, but that's just because my windows are super tinted. I think it's 5% in the back. So again, if you wanted a crystal clear picture, you might want to go with mounting it on the outside of the vehicle. I'm okay with this just because when I looked at my back window, I'm kind of looking through the tint anyways. Overall, it looks pretty good though. One thing I did forget and I'm debating on putting on is the anti-glare little screen protector. We'll see if I get that on there. Okay, as you can see, well, it's hard to see now because there's no one behind me, but it is kind of trippy to get used to, just because you do kind of get used to looking through your back window, you know, kind of almost like a frame of reference. So since this is straight out the back glass, you're getting a wider angle of view, so it is better. But again, it's gonna take a little bit getting used to. Let's see right now if someone gets up behind me, you'll get a better idea of what that looks like. Yeah, you can see the car going by there. It's actually pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie, guys. I think the angle, so if you have a RAV, if you're doing specifically on the RAV and you decide to make your own mount, 4 degrees tilt is what I put on mine. And that seems to like get it spot on. Don't want it up too high, aiming at the sky. Don't want it too low where you can't see anything. You know, I might even later on bring it down a few degrees, maybe down to 6 or so. But like I said, so far, I like it a lot. I don't see that line, so it's definitely gonna be like a glare thing. So I don't see that line anymore. So it's gonna be glare off the back glass or something like that. Again, the ideal place to put this sucker would be outside, right? So you get your full color, especially if you have your dark windows. I didn't want to mess with all that. I didn't care that much, and I'm pretty happy with it the way it is. All right, guys, so overall impressions of the NikoMaku AS5 mirror. I personally really like it. I think it's a really cool feature. Putting the camera in the back, you get a wider view, right? Instead of just through your window. I like the built-in dash cam, which is the main reason that I purchased it. And I like that you can actually mount it and replace your mirror versus just putting it over your existing mirror. Now, things that I don't like about it, the actual mount itself only has one little pivot point, which honestly in my vehicle right now works fine. I kind of wish I had a little bit more like choice of moving it forward and back. So I'm thinking about purchasing one online from NikoMaku, I believe. I think they're like around 16 bucks or something like that on Amazon, which actually has 2 joints, like a standard mirror. It's got like a little ball joint up top and one at the bottom. Another thing is, I think they should include a kit to hardwire the mirror itself to your car versus just using the cigarette lighter. If you are going to do it down that route, keep in mind you do have to purchase the 12 volt to 5 volt little step down, and I would recommend getting a USB power cord that's bent back 90 degrees. The one they give you is bent to the side. I think bending it back is a little cleaner. It's going to allow you to actually hide that cable a little bit easier, and I think overall it's going to look a little better. Another thing that I would recommend getting on is a SD card. Obviously, it does not come with an SD card, so you do need to get that if you're planning to record your dash cam footage, which is why, you know, the main reason you get a mirror like this. I believe it has to be class 10. It handles up to 128 gigs, guys. 128 gigs runs like 20 bucks on Amazon. It's not bad. I would recommend getting 128 gigs. Besides that, everything else is cool. The mounts that come with are pretty standard. Again, I use one that I made myself, my 3D printed one. The one that comes from the factory, there's nothing wrong with it, honestly. It's adjustable, is what you want. You know, you can get the angle down. After getting used to the mirror, I really, really like it. I do wish, and I'm gonna look more into it, that I could change the like on screen whenever it first turns on. It kind of like beeps at you, and it's got the brand NikoMaku. I'm gonna see if there's a way to change that. But overall, pretty happy with the mirror, and wasn't too bad of an install, guys. Definitely recommend it. And hopefully I can get to doing some more stuff to the RAV.